Before we get into today's video, I need to be upfront with you about something. Everything I share here is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for personalized medical advice from your own physician. I'm not your doctor, but I want to give you what your doctor often simply doesn't have time to give you, the full picture, the conversation that gets cut short at every 15-minute appointment. That's why I'm here, and that's why you need to watch this entire video. Because here's what I see week after week in my work with adults in this age group. Someone sitting across from me who is doing everything right, or at least everything that was right when they were 45. They're walking every morning, drinking their coffee, eating breakfast, going to bed after the evening news, and on paper, it sounds perfectly reasonable. But the body after 60 is not the same body you had at 45, and the habits that were harmless, or even helpful, a decade and a half ago can be quietly working against you right now, not dramatically, not with obvious warning signs, just slowly, steadily, shifting the odds in the wrong direction. My name is Dr. David Thompson. I'm a cellular longevity specialist and functional gerontologist, and this channel exists for one reason: to give adults over 60 the specific, practical, research-backed information that will help you stay strong, stay independent, and stay on your own terms as long as possible, not generic health advice, your health, your age, your body. Today, I'm giving you 7 things I want you to stop doing immediately, if you are over 60. We are counting down from number 7 to number 1, and I need you to stay all the way to number 1, because it's not a physical habit, it's a mental shift, it's invisible, it's quiet, and it is the single biggest predictor of how the next 10 years of your life are going to go. I have never seen anything catch people as off guard as number 1. Don't skip ahead, the whole list builds. But before we dive in, I want to ask you something. Think right now about your daily routine, the way you wake up, the way you start your morning, what you eat, how you move, when you sleep. Now ask yourself honestly, how much of that routine has actually changed in the last 20 years? Be honest with yourself. Drop a comment right now and tell me, what is the one daily habit you've been doing for 2 decades without ever really questioning it? I read every single comment on this channel. I genuinely want to know, because I can almost guarantee that for most of you watching this, at least one of the 7 things we're about to cover is going to show up in your answer. All right, let's start the countdown. Number 7, sitting for more than 30 minutes without moving. This one surprises people. I'll have someone sit down with me and tell me, Dr. Thompson, I walk every morning, 30 minutes, rain or shine. And I believe them, and that walk is genuinely valuable. But then they come home, sit down at the kitchen table for breakfast, read the paper, maybe watch the morning news, and the next time they stand up, it's been 2 hours. Here is what I need you to understand. Prolonged sitting is an independent cardiovascular risk factor. That means it causes measurable harm on its own, completely separate from whether you exercise that morning or not. These are not the same clock. Your morning walk does not cancel 2 hours of unbroken sitting. Here's the mechanism. When you sit for more than 30 consecutive minutes, your large leg muscles, the quadriceps, the hamstrings, the calves, essentially go quiet. They stop contracting. And when those muscles go quiet, they stop doing one of their most important jobs, pulling glucose out of your bloodstream. Blood sugar stays elevated, quietly, chronically, with no symptoms you'd notice on a Tuesday morning. Now add the fall risk piece, and this becomes urgent. After 60, the autonomic nervous system, the system that manages your blood pressure transitions, responds more slowly than it used to. When you stand up after a long period of sitting, there is a brief but real drop in blood pressure. Blood pools in the legs. The brain doesn't get its full supply for a few seconds. That lightheaded, unsteady feeling some of you know very well. We call that orthostatic hypotension, and it is one of the leading contributors to falls in adults over 65. And falls, as you know, can change everything. The fix costs absolutely nothing. Every 25 to 30 minutes, stand up. You don't need a workout. Walk to the kitchen, walk to the window, march in place for 60 seconds. 5 steps is enough to wake those muscles up and reset the blood pressure response. If you watch television, stand at every commercial break. Set a phone timer if that's what it takes. One tiny adjustment, a measurable difference. Number 6, reaching for coffee before drinking water. I know, some of you are already smiling because you're already picturing your morning. Eyes barely open, heading straight for the coffee maker. I'm not here to take your coffee, but I need you to understand what's happening in your body in that first 10 minutes of the day. While you were sleeping 6, 7, 8 hours, your body was working, breathing, circulating blood, running every cellular repair process you have. All of that uses water, and you just went a full night without drinking a single drop. You wake up already in a state of mild dehydration every single morning. Here's the part most people genuinely don't know. After 60, your thirst reflex weakens significantly. A younger body begins to feel thirst at around 1 to 2% fluid loss. An older body can reach 2 to 3% fluid loss and still not feel particularly thirsty. By the time you feel thirsty after 60, your body is already meaningfully behind. The signal arrives late. That gap matters enormously, especially first thing in the morning. Now add coffee to that picture. Coffee is a diuretic. It signals your kidneys to increase urine output. So at the exact moment your body is already playing catch-up on fluids, you're giving it something that accelerates the loss. The result is thicker, more viscous blood, slower circulation. Your cardiovascular system has to work harder, is working harder, in the first hour of every single day. Over a week, that's manageable. Over months and years, that low-grade morning strain compounds. The fix is completely free and takes about 45 seconds. Before you touch the coffee maker, before you even look at it, drink a full glass of water, 16 ounces. Keep it on your nightstand the night before if that helps you remember. Let your body rehydrate. Let your kidneys and your cardiovascular system start from a position of balance before you add a diuretic. Then, and I mean this, enjoy your coffee. I am not taking it away. I just want it second. Number 5, eating too fast. I know how this sounds, but the biology here is real, and it is something that changes in a way that matters specifically after 60. Digestion does not start in your stomach. It starts in your mouth. Your salivary glands release an enzyme called salivary amylase, and that enzyme begins breaking down carbohydrates the moment food touches your tongue. The more thoroughly you chew, the more surface area that enzyme has to work with. More surface area means a more gradual, more stable release of glucose into your bloodstream after the meal. Fast chewing, fast swallowing, barely any salivary contact, and you're sending food downstream that your digestive system has to work much harder to process. Blood sugar spikes faster, and it stays elevated longer. And here's the piece most people have never been told. There is a 15 to 20-minute delay between when your stomach is physically full and when your brain receives the signal that you are full. That signal travels through the vagus nerve, a long communication pathway from gut to brain, and it takes time. When you eat quickly, you blow past that window entirely. You eat past the point of fullness before the message arrives. And after 60, when digestion is naturally slower and stomach acid production has declined, overeating in any one sitting creates real discomfort, real bloating, real energy crashes in the hour that follows. The fix is a deliberate pause between bites. Put your fork down, take a breath, aim for 20 to 30 chews before you swallow anything substantial. It will feel awkward and almost artificially slow at first, but within a week of doing this consistently, you will notice that you are satisfied on less food, that your energy after meals is steadier, and that the afternoon slump, that heavy, foggy feeling at 2 o'clock, gets smaller. I want to pause here for just a moment. If you're still with me right now, and this information is landing for you, I want you to drop the word vitality in the comments below. Just that one word. It tells me you're here, you're paying attention, and you're serious about protecting your health. It also helps this video reach more people just like you. Type it right now. I'll come back and read every single one. Number 4, skipping protein at breakfast. After 60, the body's relationship with muscle changes in a way that is not talked about nearly enough. Starting in the late 50s and accelerating through the 60s, the rate of what we call muscle protein turnover shifts. Muscle protein turnover is the constant cycle of breakdown and rebuilding that maintains your muscle mass day after day. In younger bodies, there's a wide margin for error. Even if your breakfast is light on protein and you don't eat a real protein source until dinner, your muscles will compensate. That flexibility shrinks meaningfully after 60. Research into muscle metabolism in older adults consistently shows that distributing protein across all 3 meals preserves muscle mass significantly better than concentrating it in one large meal at night. Here's why. Your body can only utilize a certain amount of protein for muscle synthesis at one time, roughly 25 to 40 grams per sitting. Anything beyond that gets broken down and used for energy instead. so a large steak at dinner isn't doing the protective work you might assume. Your muscles needed something earlier in the day, and they didn't get it. And specifically, after an overnight fast, your muscles are primed and receptive for protein. The repair machinery is running. This is the window you want to take advantage of. Skipping protein at breakfast, or eating toast and juice and calling it a meal, is leaving the most metabolically valuable protein opportunity of the day empty. What does the fix actually look like? 2 eggs with cottage cheese, Greek yogurt with a handful of nuts, a smoothie with milk, or a simple protein powder. We are not talking about a bodybuilder's meal plan. We're talking about 20 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast, a deliberate, consistent decision to protect the muscle you have. Because after 60, muscle is not cosmetic. Muscle is what keeps you upright on stairs. Muscle is what catches you when you stumble. Muscle is mobility, function, and independence. Protect it like it matters, because it does. Number 3, going straight from the TV or the news to bed. This one is woven deep into routine for a lot of people. The evening news ends. The late show ends. You push yourself up off the couch and walk directly to bed. Here's what's happening in your nervous system at that exact moment. Your body has 2 primary nervous system modes. The sympathetic mode, fight or flight, is activated by stress, urgency, stimulation, anything that feels like a demand or a threat. The parasympathetic mode, rest and digest, is what allows your heart rate to slow, your blood pressure to come down, and your brain to begin the wind-down process that leads to deep, restorative sleep. The news, almost by design, activates the sympathetic nervous system. The stories are chosen for emotional impact. The pacing is urgent. And at the same time, the blue light spectrum emitted by your television screen suppresses melatonin, the hormone your brain uses to signal that darkness has arrived and sleep should follow. Here's the age-specific piece. After 60, the transition from sympathetic to parasympathetic takes longer than it did at 40. A younger body might make that shift in 10 or 15 minutes. An older body can take 45 minutes to a full hour. So when you walk from the television to your pillow, your body hasn't finished switching modes. You're lying in bed with elevated cortisol, elevated heart rate, and a brain still processing the last emotionally loaded thing it heard. The downstream consequence is elevated overnight blood pressure. Blood pressure is supposed to drop during sleep, what clinicians call the nocturnal dip. And people who consistently miss that dip have significantly higher rates of cardiovascular events over time. Add to that the cognitive consequences of disrupted sleep, poorer memory consolidation, reduced insulin sensitivity, impaired overnight tissue repair. All of it tied to a single bad habit that feels completely harmless because you've been doing it for 30 years. The fix is a 30-minute wind-down buffer between your screen and your bed. Turn the television off 30 minutes before you intend to sleep. Dim the lights. Read something gentle. Drink herbal tea. Have a quiet conversation. Sit with the stillness. Let your nervous system make the transition it was designed to make. 30 minutes. That is the bridge between your evening and your recovery. It costs you nothing, and it changes everything downstream. Number 2. Taking medications without tracking your daily symptoms. I want to speak to you directly about something that affects the large majority of adults over 65. Most of you are taking more than one prescription medication. The clinical term for 5 or more simultaneous medications is polypharmacy, and it is extraordinarily common in this age group. And I want to be clear, there is nothing wrong with being on medication. Medications save lives. They manage conditions that would otherwise shorten your life or reduce your quality of life significantly. But here is what changes over time that most patients are simply never told. The way your body processes medication shifts as you age. Kidney function declines gradually. Liver function declines gradually. Your body composition changes. You have more fat relative to lean muscle mass, and that ratio affects how fat-soluble drugs are distributed and stored in your body. A dose that was carefully calibrated for you at 65 may be slightly too high or slightly too low at 72, even if your condition feels the same on the surface. And here is the part that quietly causes harm. Medication side effects after 60 often don't announce themselves with drama. They come in slowly. A blood pressure medication might be pushing your pressure just a little too low, and you've started feeling dizzy when you stand, but you assumed it was just age. A sleep aid might be affecting your coordination, and you've been more careful on the stairs, but you never connected those dots. Fatigue from a medication gets attributed to just getting older and goes unreported for months. A daily symptom log is one of the most powerful tools you can possibly put in your hands right now. It does not need to be elaborate. A small notebook, every day, the date, your energy level on a 1 to 10 scale, any unusual feelings, dizziness, nausea, headache, changes in appetite, anything that felt off, and your sleep quality. 1 minute. That's the time commitment. But after 2 or 3 weeks, you start to see patterns that are invisible without the data. And when you walk into your next appointment with 3 weeks of daily observations, you become a completely different kind of patient. You're not guessing. You're not saying, "I've been feeling a little off lately. I'm not sure." You're reporting. Your doctor has real information to work with. Your medication is not a set-it-and-forget-it prescription. It is a living tool that needs ongoing calibration. And the only person who has access to the daily data that makes that calibration possible is you. And now, number 1. I told you this one would be different. And it is. Number 1 is not about what you eat, how long you sit, or what time you turn off the television. It's about what you do in the moment when your body speaks to you. Specifically, it's about the habit of dismissing what your body is trying to tell you. I call this the Stoic trap. And I see it more frequently than any other pattern in my work with adults in this age group. And I see it most often in people who have lived strong, capable, deeply self-reliant lives. People who worked hard, raised families, handled crises without flinching. People who were the person others leaned on. People who have a long, deeply ingrained habit of pushing through. After 60, that instinct, admirable as it is, can become genuinely dangerous. Here's the biology. After 60, the body does not present warning signs the way it did at 40. A cardiac event in a younger person often announces itself with chest-clutching drama. But in adults over 65, the presentations can be remarkably quiet. A jaw ache that comes and goes. Unusual fatigue that doesn't match the day's activity. Mild nausea with no obvious cause. A persistent sense that something is slightly off, without being able to name it precisely. Congestive heart failure can first show up as swelling in the ankles, which patients attribute to a long day on their feet. A transient ischemic attack, a mini-stroke, can feel like a brief episode of confusion or unusual clumsiness that passes in 5 minutes, and the person says nothing because it went away. The instinct to explain symptoms away is deeply understandable. You don't want to be dramatic. You don't want to worry your family. You've had strange feelings before that came to nothing. You don't want to drive to the emergency room over something that might just be a bad night's sleep. But I need you to hear this clearly. Listening to your body after 60 is not weakness. It is not drama. It is not hypochondria. It is intelligence. It is the use of the most sophisticated symptom monitoring system on Earth, your own body, in exactly the way it was designed to be used. The symptom notebook I described in number 2 is the tool for this as well. When you notice something unfamiliar, even something that feels minor, even something that passes quickly, write it down. The date, what you felt, how long it lasted, what you were doing when it started. It might be nothing. The vast majority of the time, it probably is nothing. But when you write it down, 2 things happen. First, you don't unconsciously minimize it and let it disappear from memory. Second, you have real data to bring to your doctor rather than a vague, hard-to-articulate sense that something wasn't right a few weeks ago. The single most important thing I see a patient do is walk into my office and say, "Something doesn't feel right. I can't fully explain it, but I wrote it down, and I want to show you." That is not being a burden. That is not wasting anyone's time. That is exactly the kind of early awareness that catches things before they become emergencies. That is what keeps options open. That is what keeps the window for effective intervention from closing. Don't wait until symptoms are impossible to ignore. By then, the choice is narrow. By then, the conversation is harder. Here is what I want you to take from today. We just covered 7 habits, but I am not asking you to rebuild your entire life tonight. That is not how real, lasting change works. I am asking you to pick one. Just one item from this list. Maybe it's the glass of water before coffee tomorrow morning. Maybe it's setting a timer to stand up every 25 minutes. Maybe it's buying a simple notebook tonight and writing today's date on the first page. One change. Tomorrow morning. That is the ask. Because what 20 years of working with patients in this age group has taught me is this. The people who thrive at 70, at 80, and beyond did not make one massive, dramatic overhaul. They made small, consistent decisions that compounded over time. And those decisions are available to you, right now, at whatever age you are watching this video. Your body is not done with you. You are not done with your body. The choices you make in this decade have an enormous impact on how you feel, how you move, how sharply your mind works, and how independently you live. If this video gave you one real insight, one thing that shifts something for you, please subscribe to this channel right now if you haven't already. Every week, I bring you research-backed practical information built specifically for where you are in life. Not general wellness advice, not content made for 30-year-olds. Your health, your biology, your age, and please share this video. Send it to a sibling, a spouse, a parent, a close friend. Because sometimes the person who most needs to hear something is someone you love, and this video could genuinely move something for them. Drop a comment below and tell me which single habit you are starting with. Number 7 through number 1. Which one are you changing first? I want to know. I'm Dr. David Thompson. I'll see you in the next video.